You know what time it is. It's time to get jacked up for Jesus. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe to Jacked Up West New York 9-3 crew. Share these videos. Please comment on these videos. I'm actually redoing a video today that I shot about 2 months ago and never posted. It was on my heart at the time to shoot this video, but just like if you watch this channel, I tell you I don't post these videos until I find something or I'm inspired about something. So I have 4 or 5 videos that still waiting to be posted in the right time. However, I felt compelled to reshoot this particular video, which again, if you watch these, I shoot these generally in one shot, very little editing, and just go from there. But I was inspired to redo this video to make it very clear and the way that this comes out, because it's a very important topic and concern in society, and that's mental illness. I was going to wait till mental illness month in May, but I feel I'm very important and I get this video out. A few years ago, and I don't do a lot of them because generally when you do a testimony, it comes off to the general public or to people who don't know you that it's all about yourself. And I believe, obviously, that my testimony is all through Christ, who has done things for me by me submitting to him. And everything that I do, I put it on Christ, and he goes before me. So I stick away from the testimonies a lot so that it doesn't seem like I'm boasting about something where I did this or I did that, me, I. But a couple years ago, I shot a testimony. It's on this channel if you go back. And I talked about a place that I went to when I found God. And I didn't go into full description of what I did and how it happened, but this video will be dedicated to that part of my testimony that was the confirmation that I needed in Christ and in God. And if there's one thing that I want you to take from this video, is that it wasn't that perception. This is what I was concerned about, the perception of that there's a mindset out there that when tragedy happens or things get rough in your life, adversity happens, people cling to God because that's all they have. And people will throw their hands up, well, no wonder he went to Christ because all these things happened and it just drew him there. Well, I will tell you this, that I had the signs in my life and they were there. I just never opened the door to them until my eyes were wide open to certain things. So don't take from this video like, oh, wow, he had all these tragic things and yeah, no, that's why, and mental illness caused him to go out and do this, because that's not the case. I promise you that. And that's speaking now with having a longer walk with Christ that I can talk about those kind of things. But in my testimony, I talked about going to this place for confirmation. And if you're out there struggling with depression, anxiety, share these videos with somebody who might need to hear this because they feel like they're alone and they're the only ones. Because the biggest thing when you talk to people is they feel like they're going through this alone. When millions of Americans struggle with these different kinds of problems in their lives. And they're not alone. They're definitely not alone. So I went to this place, right, in my testimony, the confirmation. So in my testimony, I talked about I lost several people in my family. Tragically, I had an incident in my life where I almost died myself. Started my walk with Christ. Again, go back and check out that video. I'm not going to cover a lot of that, but I went to this place. So for several weeks, I kept on getting this strong urge because I had lost my identity from who I was, because I didn't understand the concept that I was going to lose my identity through my rebirth in Christ and being born again. So I constantly struggled with my old self. During that time period, I was like, everything that I tried to do, it was like the saying, not to sound cheesy, but it was like, what would Jesus do? Right? So I was constantly like going to do something, and before I did it, I was like, well, wait a minute. What would be Christ-like in this situation? Because again, I didn't understand the concept about works and deeds, and that just let Jesus come into your life. He has the steering wheel. I'm just behind the steering wheel, right? But I thought that I had to go out of my way to really make sure that I wasn't living that old life. And then if something creeped into my old life, it was just like this faith that I have now, is it real? Because everything was challenging me to say, is this real? So for weeks upon weeks, I struggled with that. So I kept on getting this strong urge to go to the local psych center and get checked out. Because I was to the point, a lot of people outside of my closest circles don't know this. I was to the point with all this stuff that had happened in my life, I was suffering from panic attacks. And they weren't panic attacks to where, and those of you out there that struggle with panic attacks and have anxiety, they can understand this experience. It wasn't like I would freeze up. It wasn't like, they talk about the fight or flight that happens, and I'm not an expert, I'm not a doctor. My trigger was stuck on fight. I was suffering from anxiety, PTSDs, and I was stuck on the fight mode. So everywhere I went, my adrenaline would pick up. I wouldn't freeze up, I would amp up, where my adrenaline was constantly on high gear and felt that many things in my life were a threat to me. And it wasn't a natural feeling to have all the time. I'd be at places, Home Depot, the supermarket, somebody'd start talking to me, and my body would generally go into the fight mode where, as you would be talking to me, I would be thinking about, if I had to do something to you right now, what I'm going to do to you and how it's going to happen to preserve my life. Which everyone still has situational awareness. You still can have those things, but they have to be in control, because who knows where a threat might come from. But I was definitely at the high level of let's fight. So as I was struggling with these panic attacks, I had these visions, like I just said, and I was struggling, so I went to the local psych center. I waited for about 10 hours. Finally seen a psychiatrist or psychologist, one of the two. They met with me for about 15 minutes, wrote some stuff down on a piece of paper, and said, sounds like you had a rough 4 or 5 years. We're going to get you into outpatient. It was definitely not the outcome I was looking for. I felt at that particular moment alone, and what am I going to do? Because this feeling to drive me to that place was so strong, and my loss of identity was it was just out of control at the time. And everything in my body said, God put me in this place for a reason. And this doctor said, we're going to get you an outpatient in a couple weeks. So I said to him, which at the time I struggled with this, is there anything that I can take medically? At which time his response was to me that we're not a pharmacy. So I was like, okay, well, I don't know why God put me in this place, but I guess maybe I was wrong. So I go to leave, and as I'm going to leave, a social worker out of the blue said, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And I said, yeah, what's going on? They're like, so I read your history. I see some things that are going on in your life. Do you want to take a break from your life and stay here? They said, we have a lot of people that had a loss in their life, who were struggling with their identity, who different this, that, and the other thing. Come here and just stay so they can get better. And I said, well, I didn't know I could do that, but yeah, I'll stay. So the social worker brought the doctor back out. Doctor gave me a very hard time about wanting to stay there. Felt that it wasn't needed. My response to the doctor was, I don't care if I'm here 3 months. If I walk out that door knowing who I am, and I feel that my anxiety and panic is under control, I'm good with it. So the doctor gave me a spiel about, if I do this, I no longer have control of my freedom. And I decided to say that's okay, and I signed myself over to the state, or the county in this case. And I went up to the ward, where they put me in with a 23-year-old young adult who decided to commit suicide or try to commit suicide, attempted suicide. And there's no doubt that the Lord put me in that room for a reason, because we spent 3 days talking about life and the importance of life and the many struggles in life. Well, throughout the week, I was doing certain things that I didn't even know that I was doing. I was talking to all these different people that were having all kinds of problems, from losing lost loved ones to attempted suicide to people just struggling with. The big one was like people that would struggle with breaking up with a girl or a guy who they had a long-term relationship and they believed that that was their whole life. So I spent all week talking to people, praying. I had this experience while I was there. I was praying one night, and I never had this happen before. I had this experience where I started to feel the sensation go up through my feet, all the way through my whole body. And it's hard to explain, like this warm feeling one night, like, and I was like, what? Like, what is going on? So I was there for approximately about a week, and come Friday, I was called to the director's office. Not because I was a bad boy, like going to the principal. I was called to the director's office. And I get into the director's office, and I'm like, uh-oh, like, what did I do? Am I got to stay here another couple of weeks? I'm really crazy. The director's office, the director, proceeds to show me my medical records of all week. Now, I didn't realize this through the whole process, that they were following me around, taking notes, talking about what I was doing, having meetings and whatnot, and documenting the stuff that I was doing. So the director shows me all this, and I'm reading it, and next thing you know, she takes out a card and says, "Do you want to work here?" I'm like, what? What do you mean, do I want to work here? Like, I came here because I'm losing my mind, because I have these thoughts, and I have given my life over to Christ, and my old self is fighting me, and I'm struggling with this panic that has put me in a position that I'm constantly on edge of awareness that everything is a threat in my life. And you're like, no, you came here to help people. You came here for a reason, and you have the ability to help people. And it totally blew my mind, because I could have never thought in a million years that's why I was going there. I was going there because I thought I had lost my mind and my old self was gone, and that this faith thing was a creation in my head, that I was like using that creation of faith to block out all this negative stuff in my life. And it wasn't. It was God who I had been praying to show me the confirmation that I had needed in my life, that this is what you're truly supposed to be doing. This is your gift that I have given you, God is telling me. So I walked out of there that day knowing that my life will be dedicated to preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, to lose my ego, to be the most humblest individual I can for him, and to allow Jesus into my life to be the steering wheel, like I said earlier, and me to get in that passenger seat. Yes, I have my own free will, and I can make my decisions. And yes, I am still imperfect, and I make mistakes because the flesh takes over, but the confirmation that and the praying had revealed itself. Now, a lot of you probably are like, wow, like this dude had to go to a psych center to find this. The Lord reveals himself in mysterious ways. This is what I've learned. So, why am I sharing this video with you? Well, there's also a couple things with this. Obviously, the stigmata behind having a mental illness, that's number one. If you're struggling with these things, you need to go seek professional help. Even if you're out there and you're a person of faith, and you're like, well, medication, God's will and all this stuff. Well, let me explain something to you. God puts people on this earth to help you. Okay? Don't let other people say, well, pray on it. You don't need to take X, Y, Z, because they're not you. And a lot of people take the perspective that through God's own words, through his stripes, we are healed. This is true. But that healing process could be coming through the ways of professionals dealing with some of your issues. And you working through and getting therapy. And if there's a medication out there because you have a chemical imbalance, you should be taking it. And it's no different than any other illness that you have. There's a lot of legalists when they get involved in, whoa, you shouldn't be taking X, Y, Z, you shouldn't be doing this. Well, with that legalist, if they had a problem with their, what is that called? The appendix. If their appendix burst, would they say, well, I'll just wait till God comes and takes it out? No, they would go and go to the doctor and get taken care of. It's just like anything else that's physically wrong with your body, you would go have it taken care of. And your brain and your chemicals, there's no difference in that. Many things happen through the power of prayer, but also there are professionals out there to help you. The second thing is you are not alone. I will guarantee you are not alone if you're struggling right now with these things. I already said go seek professional help. The second thing is find yourself people going through the same situation. Get those guardrails in your life. Go to different groups. Be with people that have that common mindset or share that certain experience that can help you. That could be there to encourage you, who've walked a mile in your shoes. So, I know this has been a long video. I want it to be known out there that the power of Christ came into my life through my own free will and submission. And that confirmation happened in a place that a lot of people will be like, that's crazy. Literally, that's crazy. But that's what happened. And that's how I dedicated my life to the Lord. That was the last thing in the piece of the puzzle for me. Go out right now if you're struggling. Find some groups. Get some help. Don't ever get to the point where you feel like you need to take your own life or you turn to drugs and alcohol to try to bury the pain that lives inside you. I know it's very difficult. The draw is it's an easy path that we all can take and get caught up in destructive behavior. Take the time to say, time out. I need to take a different direction in my life. I'm struggling with this. Certain things have happened and triggered something in me. It could be chemically, it could be a bad experience that you had. Don't let people come in your life that are not going to encourage you and say, don't worry about it. Do this, and this, even though it might destroy you. So, I love you all out there. Get some help if you're struggling with mental illness today. There are people out there that will not treat you like one of the number in the system that truly care about human life. Find and seek out those people. If the first counselor you go and see, or the first person, like in my case, if I would have just listened to the doctor and walked out and that social worker didn't intervene in my life, who knows where my life would have been at that point. If you truly are struggling, don't take no for an answer. Go out there and live in God's will and seek out what you need. Love you all out there. God bless. We'll see you next time when we get jacked up for Jesus.